Hello, Reggie.
Good evening.
Yeah, and hi, I'm here. I'm not on video yet, but I will be soon.
Okay, so we're a couple of minutes late, so I'm going to start the meeting. Call to order the Town Board Business Meeting of September 21st. First, if you have public be heard, will be at the end of the meeting as usual, 2 minutes piece. First 5 folks to sign up. Ashley, is the chat?
Chat is disabled, so I don't know
Okay,
how you want to do it.
okay, we'll wait till the end of the meeting then and see how it goes.
Okay.
Couple of quick things. I don't know why I had it in my head last week when we were talking about the Church Road court date, so that the actual date for the trial is October 12th. It'll be at 3 p.m. up at the Shandaken Courthouse. So I was a month off on that one. The other thing I want to announce, we had talked about this earlier, and we have all the dates firmed up for meet and greets at the firehouses. We're going to be doing Xena on September 29th, Lake Hill on October 6th, and Wittenberg on October 13th. All of those will be at 7 p.m. Any town or any elected officials will be welcome. I know that Scott Bonesteel, the highway superintendent, has indicated he'll be at least one and maybe all 3 of them. Jackie has indicated she would be around for 1 or 2 of them. And I know that legislator Hepner has also indicated that he will be present at least 1 or 2 of them. So this is an opportunity to come out and meet and greet. I will have the plans for the Como project, the renovation and addition, but that's not the sole purpose of this. It's a meet and greet. You can come and ask any questions. You want to talk about that, we'll talk about that all night. You want to talk about other things, we're there to take questions and try and come up with some answers.
So Phyllis, is the schedule on the town website for those meet and greets?
Yes, it's on the Facebook.
Facebook, good, okay.
Yeah. The other thing, I did send this off to the town board the other day. Every year or so, the comptroller, the Office of the Comptroller of New York State, does fiscal stress tests on all communities. They do it in 2 sections. One is fiscal issues, fiscal strength, and again, Woodstock scored a 0, which is a perfect score. The lower, it's like golf. And we've been down there for a couple of years now. The other is environmental, which covers 6, 7 things: population, poverty, age, tax base, income, unemployment, and need for state and federal aid. Last year, or the last time we had the test, we scored around a 26, which was no designation, which is good. This year, we scored 16.7 on that. So we've seen some improvement on our environmental stress levels. So I'm proud of that accomplishment. Not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think that comes back to some good management practices. So with that, I will turn the meeting over to CSAC for their presentation. Jeff?
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to speak to the group. I did send out an outline a couple weeks ago, actually a couple months ago. I'm sort of going off of that, but I just want to recap a little bit really quick. I read a nice thing in the Hudson Valley one from a couple years ago, describing that the 79-acre parcel was purchased by the town in 1979. That's over 40 years ago. And at the time, I'm sure it looked like a great idea, and moving the business offices up there has worked out really well. It's a beautiful property. I just don't think that there was any real clear picture on how to maintain something, especially now that they put an easement into place in the early 2000s. So that's almost 20 years ago. And, in that time we had a Trails Task Force. We've done a few smaller renovations, mostly volunteer basis. But I think what's happened in the last couple years, certainly at a more accelerated pace, is the degradation of the trails, the invasives taking over the property, and we no longer have a Trails Task Force. And sort of people are pointing at our group to take care of things. And I'd like to just reiterate that we are an advisory group. We are to look what's going on up there, share with the town what we think could go on up there. And a number of our members of the 7 members of our committee, 4 of us have been on this committee for all of the 10 years of its existence, and we've seen things work really well, and we've seen some changes. Certainly the dog signage we put up a couple months ago, I think has had a positive effect, because we're not talking about dogs today. So we'll leave it at that. There have been estimates, Maxanne shared these numbers with me, that this property is visited by perhaps 40,000 people a year. That's just over 100 people a day. And I can see that. I've been up there enough times to see the people coming out of their cars with their dogs. Certainly when soccer was going on, we had a program that had over 200 kids. Right now, I'm not sure exactly where that stands, but the popularity of the property has grown immensely. The trail maps found online, All Trails, which is a web-based mapping program, has both loops of the property included. So there are people showing up there that we never knew about. Certainly many town members still use the property, but there's a lot of people from out of town, newcomers to town. And I just wanted to go through a couple of the areas of concern. I see Matt has gotten out of his car, so maybe I'll just hand over the fields part to him right now. What I was hoping to do is share my screen, because I actually spent some time going around the property and looking at and taking pictures basically. And if that was allowed, I can pop up the couple that would be more pertaining to Matt and let him talk. I'm sure he's got other things he wants to do tonight.
You should be set to share screen.
Okay, do I need to ask for it, or?
No, if you just click it, it should pop up.
All right, let me just go find out where that is. Share screen, there it is. Great. Okay, so let me just, let's do that one. You guys seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, so Matt, some of these pictures I have in there for your group does include the soccer fields as well. Some of the needs are consistent with what you need in the longer meadow, so I'll let you just take it from there.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
How are you?
Okay.
Matt?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. So I'm glad I got to come here and talk tonight. What I found is a problem for me in the past, I don't know, maybe 6 years, and it's getting worse every year, is just what Jeff is showing right here. The tree growth, for one, that's encroaching into the field. And you can see in this picture here, it's still cut into it, but the problem is it's getting farther and farther and lower every year. And for me, when I cut it for hay, it's getting hard for me to fit the tractor underneath. So wherever I'm not cutting, and there's you know, you're talking feet every year you're losing, well then you figure in a couple of years the little scrub pines and the cedars are going to start to grow up, or the invasives are going to take over more and more, and you're going to lose that field. So I'd hate to see that. That's a problem. I don't have enough time to, I know I've gotten permission in the past to clear any low-hanging branches that are in my way, or if I'm going to hit them, but there's just too many for me. I mean, I could spend a week there and cut the low-hanging branches just to get my tractor under, but I don't have that time. I can't do that. That's an issue. The other issue that I have is the deadfalls. The deadfall trees. There's a poplar that's been in the field now for maybe 4 years. There's a couple pines. There's a good picture right there, and that's the same problem that I just described, where you can't get to it to cut it, so you're going to lose that part of the field. But that's obviously way worse than just slipping under it with the tractor. There's way more field being lost there. There's quite a bit. There's a lot by Sled Hill, and more fall every year. And I've done my best, aside from bringing a saw up there and actually hacking away, because the whole time thing, you know, when I'm making hay, it's just I'm borrowing time as it is, I feel like. And you could spend quite a few days up there just to remove the dead trees and fly chip it in the woods. God forbid I hit one of those with my mower. It's going to be problems, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to see any more of the field get lost to, stuff I can't cut or can't use, or just lose the field in general. It's so pretty the way it is, but I'm hoping something can be done. And it would be nice too. I mean, this is wishful thinking, but the amount of ash trees, especially by Sled Hill, that are just doomed, that they're standing dead, and parts of them fall off every year, but we're just lucky we haven't had a monster, and there are a couple fall right into the field, and it's going to be some mess. But those are my concerns.
Well, thanks, Matt. I went to a course a couple of weeks ago by Hudsonian Cornell Cooperative on habitat identification. There's a workshop for municipal groups working with towns as far as planning. And one of the things I took away from it was, you mow to suit your needs. Our need on the longer meadow is to provide hay. Also to keep the property in as close a semblance as it was when the easement was signed. There was a baseline document that sort of said this is what the property looks like, and our job really is to sort of keep it like that. So what Matt's describing is basically normal forest succession into a meadow. And although we've been attempting to mow and cut things back, we are losing ground. So I respect you, Bill and Lauren, for saying, a pole saw, go out there and take some limbs down, but this is a monumental undertaking. This is something that I'm more than happy to help throw limbs into the back of a shredder as they're taken down. But I think that we decided when Jim Henson and I walked out there last Sunday that to give clearance on the soccer fields and to Matt and his tractor, that we should be going 15 feet up. And we can certainly do that with a pole saw, but some of these branches are pretty daunting. There's a lot of stuff that's down already that needs to be taken care of. And right now we're looking into a number of different local arborists, and we're going to get some estimates on what it might take to clear the sides. I'd like to also, when we speak to them, show them a couple of trees that are in need of downing at some point. Now, given the habitat work that I just listened to, of course, leaving some standing dead trees is appropriate for habitat and diversity of the species that can live in these trees, even if they're dead. But this is on a property that's being frequented by people. And I think you all know that there was a young boy in our area that just died in a tree accident. We had a tree fall on someone in our dental class in our senior week and died. And this happens, people die in tree accidents. And I certainly would hate to see that happen on this property. So I think that's sort of the bit on the fields. So let me rip right back to the trails. Jim Henson was going to help me out tonight. Actually, how far did I go here? But he had a little surgery done today, and he is not up for sitting on a Zoom call. So one of the ones I saw the other day, this is the Shakespeare stage here, and this is the town offices. This is a pine that shows a whole bunch of sawdust at the bottom. So obviously it is invaded. It happens to be leaning toward the stage. Now, I think this probably has a couple years before it comes down, but this is the kind of stuff that is right on the trail we're walking. And this one happens to be aimed sort of at the Shakespeare stage. So that's a daunting project. I don't think that's anything that a town worker wants to take on. Some of these other ones, that one's much more simple, but it's a dead ash that's laying over the top of the Corbett loop. And I'm sort of surprised someone hasn't lopped that off yet with the chainsaw. Here's another dead pine. I'm not going to go into too much with dead trees standing. This birch tree is over near the soccer fields. It's been laying there for at least a year. When the soccer kids get in there, I know they're going to climb on it. And guess what's going to happen? It's probably going to snap at some point and maybe land on some kid's head. These are other down logs that haven't been cleared. Then I wanted to talk a bit about the drainage pipes. A lot of stuff was put in years ago with Jim's Trails Task Force. This one, I believe, is just laying in the weeds. This one's been uprooted and tossed to the side. This one's exposed. Another one that's exposed that probably won't be there in a few months because someone will have yanked it out. Another exposed one here. Wet areas that in need of stone. We've gone over this a lot before, but this is just trip hazard waiting to happen. This is easily done with wood chips. This is something that a volunteer crew could do, given a pile of wood chips I know the town is willing to offer us. But there's a lot of mileage on these trails that look a lot like this in a lot of different places. These are something that many of us just walk right over and have no problems with, but there are others that are going to have problems with them. This area of stairs was repaired or at least worked on years ago, and it's doing pretty well. This other one, though, I've wanted to talk about this with a number of people for a while. These are all down trees, and the majority of them have fallen down because of the erosion on the slope caused by this. It's not even one of our sanctioned trails, but there's a rope there, and people go down to the stream on this all the time. I've reached out to a gentleman by the name of Matt from Tahawas, who helped with the Sloan Gorge building of some stairs. I've yet to hear back from him, but this is something that most likely a volunteer trail group is not going to be able to pull off. The size of the stones that are needed to be placed in here on a slope is something for more professional trail builders. Jim has already repaired this, but a lot of these boardwalks are now sinking into the mud, and if they're sitting in the water, they will deteriorate, as this one has. This is our intermittent woodland pool. We had made efforts to discourage people from walking near it. That has had limited effect. Certainly a goal of ours long-term would be to build some sort of observation walk or something that people could see it, but they're small amphibians that live here and breed here. Just walking close to the pool, letting dogs run in it is going to degrade that portion of our property. Our property is majority of wetlands, so even the longer meadow is considered a wet meadow. I want to thank Matt and Lauren for working on the one that we termed wet meadow between the Great Lawn and the soccer fields. That was mown sometime last year, and the goal was to mow that every 3 or 4 years to allow it to have a different type of habitat than the mown Great Lawn or the single season mowing that Matt does. This was a sign that talked a little bit about the vernal pool. It's gone. So I'm going to rip through these because Matt went through these already. I wanted to talk a little bit about the invasives. During the WLC monitoring walk on July 29th, Hudsonia, I don't know if it was Hudsonia, but during the walk I did, they verified that the common barberry, which has taken over a lot of areas, is just going to keep taking stuff over. Actually, I had a picture of stiltgrass in here too, I thought. Yeah, there's the barberry. There's the stiltgrass. And this one's the Rosa multiflora. This is on the side of the soccer field. It's pretty brutal when a ball goes in there. We attempted to trim that back a few years ago when I was working with the soccer program. They also identified an autumn olive, which I could not find a sample of, although the Hudsonia person that presenting the course had grabbed some and given it to me. I just didn't find out where I could take a picture of it. And I think the general upkeep of the property has really sort of fallen by the wayside. This is basically the dump from the Shakespeare lawn. Stuff gets tossed over the rock wall. That doesn't look so great to begin with. And this is what people see when they're walking, looking back toward our beautiful Como house. Is a lot of debris. This is some more invasive. This is the bittersweet right next to the parking lot. There are some very beautiful cedars in the back here, but they are totally crowded out. Here's some brush that's been cut on the soccer field and the logs have just been left. I'm certainly going to try to sneak in there and grab the maple, but it'd be nice if things were just picked up a little bit more. The porta potties situation. Over the last year, I've found weeks on end that a porta potty was just on its head, been knocked over. This was a shot from the other day. There were 2 locks on it. One of the locks was non-functioning. And when I went back the next day, it was gone. So, you know, whatever's been going on up there. as far as
I think,
maintenance goes,
Jeff,
it's
if I
hard
could
to
just,
know.
Jeff,
Yeah,
I think the lock was taken off because they were using it that day. There
Okay.
there was a weekend when it was taken off. So
great.
that,
I'm
may-
happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know at times if the soccer program had left locks unfastened, they'd find them inside the toilet. So that's good to know that they're being utilized. And I also want to talk a little bit about our signage. Unfortunately, these were used to tape signs on, which I sort of don't understand that people would do that, but I understand we have some estimates for getting these replaced. Perhaps,
Yes, Jeff, if I could just update you on that, that's in the process. Kurt up Phoenicia's taking care of it, and
yep,
they
I
should
heard
be,
that too.
they should be
On this-
replaced soon, but we've approved that, so the money for that and everything's cool.
That's
I would
great.
also add that the offender paid for the repair.
Yep, I heard that too. I'm just putting out what the place looks like.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sort of just stating facts. It just sort of seems sort of a cumulative thing to me. This fence at the side of the
Yep.
great lawn and the parking lot looks like it's going to be down by the winter. There have been repairs by shoving 2x4s next to them. You know, in comparison to what was built in the parking lot just a few years ago, this fence is, I wouldn't have it on my property. And this isn't rocket science. This is something that a town maintenance department, I think, could handle. But they need to see it and they need to be told to do it. So the posts that were used for our signage weren't really properly done. What I've learned is crushed stone, tamping it down, probably going to make the posts last a lot longer and actually secure them a lot better.
Mhm.
But the majority of the signs are sort of falling over at this point. I just threw this in here because it sort of disgusted me the other day when I went down to the stream, seeing all these private property signs that are probably posted on our property. And I don't think they have any right to be there. I think it just detracts from the beauty of our property. I know that the mill does have miller's rights and can own both sides of the stream. His property now is looking a lot more attractive than this section of the trail. So it's sort of sad to see orange posted signs when you walk in the woods. So this property we have is beautiful. I think that we just need to find some funds. I propose a line item for the budget to help the entire town and its properties. I think this property is a gem right in the center of town. Lots of people use it. And I just feel it's been degrading now for the entire time we've been part of this. And we've advised 2 years ago, I thought we had been given the green light to have a maintenance worker working with a small vehicle so that stone could be moved on a weekly basis or monthly basis so that it doesn't turn into a big project like it is now. I thought that was going to happen, and it hasn't moved forward. I know COVID put a big, hurdle in front of all of us, but we certainly have the ability to find some volunteers to help with some of these projects. But I think some of these projects are well beyond what a volunteer corps can do, and likely well beyond the liability that the town wants to incur. I certainly feel comfortable with a chainsaw. I know, Bill, you can wield a machete like the best of them. I've seen it done. But is this really what we should be doing? It's sort of like me mowing the lawn at the office. When I'm a better dentist, why should I be mowing the lawn? So again, here, are we to really go out there with pole saws and stand on the back of a truck and start cutting 15 feet up these large limbs and then do what with them? We need a chipper. And so I just propose to the town that they look at investing some more time and energy into this. I think the money is really the number one thing, though. I think if there's a line item for upkeep of this property, whether it be for partially for hiring another maintenance worker, or the vehicle that we spoke about, I think we can make this happen. I'm fearful that if we make a big push and we get a lot of help out there and do this, that there won't be the maintenance afterwards. And in 8 or 10 years, another group will be talking about the same problems. The big issue is continuing care. Same thing in my business. I can work on someone and spend thousands of dollars. They don't come in every 6 months. It's going to be a big project the next time they come in. So you got to do something on a continuing basis. So that's pretty much my presentation. I wanted to also touch on, I'm just looking at my notes real quick here. There been a lot of talk amongst different committees for the town that a grant writer would really be helpful. I know some people were trained in this, but there's a lot of sources of money out there. I know Tahawas came in with the Land Conservancy project, and a lot of that was training for their trail workers. It didn't cost dollars and cents. So there is money out there, but most of us aren't skilled grant writers. And I think that a grant writer hired by the town would give back multiply what they could get for the town. So I'm just encouraging that as a Como stewardship advisory person. I know the other committees are looking into this as well. And certainly someone could be used to do a whole lot of different grant writing projects. So these are some of those beautiful pools in the Sawkill that I know of, and they're right on our property. Although this is probably Miller's, but those carved bluestone rock formations are incredible. And I'm so happy to have been part of this project up at the Como. This is a great property. We have such an asset, and I just would like to see it continue in the form it is. You know, these days of walking on the soccer field have been nothing better. So I'm hoping that this is taken well. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I give you guys credit for listening to me for 20 minutes. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Well, I actually had a question, which, well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. It's an excellent review of where things stand. I actually walked, it was about a month ago, I walked everything, and it certainly is lovely, although I certainly can relate to the things that you're saying. So anyway, thank you very much for all that input. I had a question kind of off to the side. Bill and I were talking this afternoon about, this is a WEC topic, Woodstock Environmental Commission, where they were looking into a composting pilot. Can we get Woodstock into a composting pilot? And if we did that, where could we put composting containers? It looks like, dumpsters in a way, but hopefully a little more attractive. And the question is, would the CSAC ever agree to have any containers up in the upper parking lot of the Cuomo property, or would that be the last thing you would want? I mean, it'd be for composting, which is a green thing, but it's maybe not the first, not the first thing you want there.
I certainly appreciate that. We have our own composting here at our home and at our office, and I totally believe in it. I don't think that containers being outside of the government areas are going to be allowed. We've been told we would never be able to put a pavilion up there, even for the safety and convenience of our soccer program. Bringing the sheds up there was quite a to-do to just get some storage on those fields. That would have to go back to the easement and look at what the stipulations are there. And since the Land Conservancy holds that, I would probably defer to them. I certainly don't see much of a problem with that. I think it's a great idea, but I'm not so sure that this is the right place for it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And the question is then, where would the right place be? Because it would need to be town property, hopefully central to town, but I appreciate your answer and thank you.
I'll think about that one.
Any other questions, comments?
Just want to say thank you, Jeff, and I know some of the other members from CSAC are here also for bringing this back to the board. I know I walked with Bill. I think we walked, right, the three of us. I felt like Jeff and Bill, you may recognize it too, that tree that was hanging over the pathway, that kind of long one that you showed. I feel like we saw that a couple years ago. So I do know that COVID is really, kind of put a stop to things. But as we're trying to move beyond that, I would like to, see what we could do to address some of these, things that are.
I do know that
Bring it
maintenance
to the-
goes out there every 2 weeks or so and make sure that the trail is cleared of trees.
Well, I know Brett Munson has been out there just about every day, and he does walk in and talk to Alan if there's something that he sees. So we've got eyes on the ground. Marilyn, another member of our group, is out there an awful lot as well. I think that I think we just need to be more proactive. I don't think that we should be waiting for someone to come in and say, hey, yo, something's happened out there. I think that we should be walking this property a little bit more often. That's all.
Okay. Anybody else?
Bill, could I just make a suggestion?
Sure, Jackie.
Well, we have a lot of people that work up at Como. We appreciate the beauty up there. I'm almost thinking, and I wouldn't mind trying to spearhead a possibility of this, but we have so many days that are where people are raising funds for certain things. I wouldn't doubt that we could probably do a good project of raising funds for Como. Even though we have a lot of people that come from out of town that use Como, we have a lot of people that live here that use Como. Hi, Lauren, and I know this is just your favorite baby, but I would love to do a fundraiser, very simple. It doesn't have to be major. You could get a little bit of music, a little bit of food, not a lot. Have people come up and stand down at the bottom of the hill and just collect money for people to come up and see what we do. If it's 2 years and it's a bust, let it go. But if it's not, I think probably early spring where things are beautiful up there, I wouldn't mind trying to spearhead something up there to try to raise some money rather than put it on the taxpayers itself.
And I just along those lines, back when this all started many, many years ago, that was a concept that we looked at where some of this maintenance was going to be handled by donations and fundraising and whatnot, not necessarily all from the taxpayer.
I think you would get a lot of, and we don't have a lot, everybody thinks there's a ton of employees up at Como. There's maybe 20 that work up there, but I think a lot of us that work up there would not mind doing an annual fundraiser just to defer some of the cost. So if that's something that Jeff, I would love to come to.
I think it's a great idea.
CSAC meeting with you guys and just see what we could do with something like that. Like I said, if it's a bust, it's a bust.
I think again that if we can have a number and what we're going to do with that money out in front, it makes it a lot simpler. I know that there was a really great effort to pay for the kiosk and it was taken care of. There were some very generous people who sent us quite a bit of money. So we have a very affluent town. It just, I don't believe that this property should look the way it is. So
I agree.
My advice is if we can fundraise and get some of this, I still think that that's going to be the heavy lifting and that there needs to be something that's on an ongoing basis, or we're always going to be
I agree.
Sort of chasing after professionals to come in and do stuff. And I know that it's not going to be easy to get tree people. They're not out there right now. They're all busy. They're booked out. I got the first person I talked to said my truck's down. It's going to take me 2 months before I can look at it.
I know.
Let's look at the spring.
But listen, if you want me to come to a meeting, I would spearhead it with the employees, and we would go from there and let it just be like an in-town thing. See what we can do. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But
I know it'd be still a fun party.
There you go.
We gotta give it a go.
Yeah.
So Jeff, maybe you, Jackie, and I can get together and kick this around.
Okay. Well, why don't we
in the
make sure
meantime,
you're on the invite for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Hours, okay?
Perfect.
In the meantime, maybe Lauren and I, maybe we can get together, Lauren, and start cleaning up around the field area for Matt.
It's just been explained that we're not qualified.
Oh, I think we're more than qualified, Laura.
I
No,
think
I've
you're
se-
more than qualified.
I've seen you with the chainsaw.
I've only opened up maybe half a dozen hayfields in my life. And we
I
walked
just
it
seem
before
to,
I
I
looked
just
at it.
seem to remember looking at you on Monday, no, Sunday, when I met with you up there, and I said, so what about it? And you're like, no, don't look at me. Now you're saying you're
Yeah,
throwing
well-
your hat in the ring again, so it's okay. If
That's-
you change your mind after 2 days, it's fine.
We walked it and we looked at it. Jim Hansen and another geezer and myself, and we were going to do it. And then you guys ladle this layer of bureaucratic bullshit on top of it, and it makes everybody just want to walk away. Now, the other thing is, maybe you could talk to the
Thank
Land
you.
Conservancy, who puts a table up at our Volunteers Day to take money to build trails in other towns, and say, how about our town? You use the name Woodstock, you pimp it out like everybody else. Maybe they could kick something back.
Lauren, it's Maxine. I think that you're characterizing what we do incorrectly. The trails that we build are related to our own properties, our own preserves. And
you're not in this town, and you're recruiting money from-
maligning us over and over again is really not a very nice thing to do. And you never really truly understand the work that we do all over the place. So
Is
I wish you
anything
would,
said untrue?
stop saying those kinds of things, but
Is anything I said untrue?
yes,
What is untrue?
it's all untrue.
Why don't we,
You-
why don't we
I
focus
think we
on,
can, I think we can end this conversation now. I did not want to start an
Well,
argument.
All right,
I'd like to
Jeff,
say-
Jeff,
I know,
Jeff,
I'd like
Jeff.
to say a couple things, please.
Go ahead, Richard.
Having served on the original CSAC for a number of years, I appreciate the concern the current CSAC has for all this. A lot of this is followed through. But I'm going to echo something I say every year at budget time. And it's not just about CSAC, it's about all the needs of all our committees. We lose money because we do not actively seek a grants writer and seek out grants in environmental issues and whatever issue it may be. The fact that the town doesn't have a grants writer, or at least a part-time grants writer to work with committees, I think is obviously not a good thing. That's all.
That's it, Richard?
Yeah, although I would like to add to that, I see Grace is on, and the last conversation Grace and I had, which was a couple of weeks ago, she was echoing the grant writer. One of the things that was, on the forefront of her mind was that some of these things, and a grant writer costs money, quote unquote, except for the fact that we might get a lot. We don't know until we have a grant writer how much money we're going to get back because we have a grant writer. And it is possible that having a grant writer could solve a number of problems for us.
Well, it's not just how much money we get back or don't get back too. It's having the time to seek out the proper grant for the proper job. I mean, I know Ashley and Heather have done a great job, but a professional grants writer would meet with CSAC, go over the options, do the research, say, this is what's available. This is what I think is realistic. And the same with other committees.
So Richard, maybe I will request, the budget's coming up.
Bill, I've done it for 4 years straight now. This will be the fifth one. So.
Hold on. Let me finish. Don't interrupt. I didn't interrupt you. Go out and get some bids on what this would cost.
Get bids?
So, yeah, who are we gonna hire?
Well, that's not a bid. That's
Proposals.
That's negotiations, but okay, go ahead.
Proposals.
Okay.
Get a
Well,
couple
town can put that out anytime they want. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up then and move forward. Jeff, thank you very much for coming tonight.
Bill, thank you, board. I appreciate it.
And Lauren, you and I can talk tomorrow. I'm available during the week, or we want to do weekends. I think we can start with some of the easier stuff and getting that cleaned up for Matt.
I would do anything for Matt. I respect and admire the man.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'm going to move into some resolutions. Be it resolved to accept minutes for meetings held on August 24th and September 14th.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Jackie, I did make some markups on the one from a month ago. I made markups on, I think, 3 different pages. And then the other one from like a week ago or 2 weeks ago is just like one markup on one page. But there are
Okay.
some markups to look for.
Thank
please.
you.
Yeah,
Be
thank
it
you.
resolved to accept the town clerk's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved to authorize payment of audited vouchers in the amount of $433,742.90.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize transfers per transfer sheet.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to schedule a special meeting for the town board in person and via Zoom on Tuesday, October 5th, 2021 at 4 PM at the Como offices. Just let me write that in, for the purpose of presenting the 2022 budget to the town board.
Second.
All in
Say the
favor?
date. Aye.
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
say the date again, Bill. I'm sorry.
The date, October 5th,
10-5.
which is a Tuesday, first Tuesday. That'll be a quick meeting, half hour.
Yeah, no, I just didn't catch it. Okay.
Okay,
What's the time?
What time is that again?
4 o'clock.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I'll remind everybody, bring your calendars and we'll be scheduling budget hearings for the following week to meet with the various departments. Be it resolved to promote John Van Buren to grade 4 HMEO at a rate of $23.72 effective September 20th, 2021, contingent on him obtaining his Class A CDL within 6 months of promotion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to accept the resignation of Joel Ingracia from the Town of Woodstock Highway Department effective September 16th, 2021. Thank him for his service.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whereas the Town of Woodstock has received funding from the federal government through the American Rescue Plan, and whereas the town must follow certain prescribed guidelines with regard to the spending of those funds, and whereas the town is permitted to provide premium pay to employees performing essential services during the COVID-19 public health emergency, whereas the employees of the Woodstock Paramedic Program meet the definition of essential workers, and whereas 5 fire companies of the Woodstock Fire District have experienced additional costs due to the public health emergency while performing essential services for the town. Therefore, be it resolved, the town board make a one-time payment of $10,000 to the Woodstock Fire District to provide pandemic bonuses to essential workers, essential employees in the Woodstock Paramedic Program. Be it further resolved, a one-time payment of $500 to each of the 5 companies in the Woodstock Fire District upon submission of a voucher for said costs to the town.
Second.
Any
Pur-
questions,
Purpose of
comments?
discussion.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Read the last part again about the voucher.
And be it further resolved, a one-time payment of $500 to each of the 5 companies in the Woodstock Fire District upon submission of a voucher for said costs to the town. Said-
So they would go out and buy PPE or something like that and then submit.
Or,
to the town.
or they've purchased the PPE and different, and put an expense in for that. It
Okay.
could be past expenses.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just want to make sure, like we've discussed this, there's going to be a lot of accounting on this at some point. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to amend the 2022 budget, increasing revenue A04089.00000 by $62,500, and by increasing expenses A08686.40000 by $62,500.
Purpose of discussion.
So just to remind you, when we did the last expenditure, the way we have to account for this is that it has to be put into the budget. So we have that pool of money sitting in our account. Each time we spend anything, it has to be brought into the budget. So the budget has two amended lines, or excuse me, it has one amended line for revenue. That's all the revenue coming in from this, the American Rescue Plan is the first number. And then the second number, it's either a 0.4 or 0.1. The 0.1 are for town personnel, 0.4 contractual. So the check to the fire district or the fire companies is contractual. That's in the 0.1, or excuse me, the 0.4. When we did the budgets last week, or the bonuses last week for the town employees, those were our employees, that was a 0.1. So that's how we were amending the budget. Every time we spend money this year, well, through the American Rescue Plan, there'll be an amendment to the budget.
Did you say 2022 or 2021? I thought you said 2022.
He did, but we can change it to
Did I say
2021.
amend the 2021 budget?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I don't know what I read, but it should be the 2021 budget. I could have read 1982 for all I remember. Any other questions?
But well, I look at the resolution. The resolution says 2021.
Yeah. Any other questions? Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Before we go to public be heard, Laura, you had
A library
announcement,
update.
I think?
Yes, as most people know, I am the town board liaison to the library, and the library has some news of things happening that people should know about. The annual vote, the 2022 budget vote and trustee election will be Thursday, October 7th at the library. The voting time will be noon to 9 p.m. There are 2 town board member positions being voted on at this election. Those terms are for 5 years. And there are actually 3
town board?
trustee.
Laura, you said 2 town
Library
board
board.
members.
Did I say town
Okay.
board, library board? Oh, sorry, the library board. So the library board, yes.
I'm not
Thank
the
you.
only one, Laura. Sorry.
Yes, sorry. Okay, the 2022 budget vote and trustee election for the library board. Thank you. Yes. So there are 2 seats open. The terms are for 5 years. There are 3 candidates. But the additional library news and the budget vote, by the way, they do have, I think they had a couple of years of not increasing the budget or the tax levy, but there is an increase of the 1.94% tax levy this year, which is within the 2% cap, and it is headed towards payroll, is headed towards the employees. So the budget increase will be going into salary. So that is what the budget increase is, within the 2% cap. And getting back to the trustees, there is a 3rd trustee position open now because Trustee Bobby Bowie has taken a position, I think it's Northeastern University in Boston. So even though he'll maintain a residence in Woodstock, he won't be here enough that he feels he can continue on the library board. So he is vacating, he is resigning. And what the library board has decided, because all 3 candidates are they consider excellent candidates, and because they've all demonstrated their desire to be on the board by getting the petition signed and running, they have already decided that what you'll be voting on when you go to the election, besides the budget, which is critical, you'll also be voting which 2 of the 3 candidates will get the 5-year term. They will be placing the 3rd candidate in the remaining term of Bobby Bowie, which is a 1-year term. So, and that's a decision made based on, they know the candidates, they know that they're very strong candidates. The other thing that's important to know about the library is Jessica Kerr, who has been fabulous at the library and has been director, but has had to take time away for various reasons. She has announced she's unable to return as a full-time library director. She will stay on as a part-time employee, but the library is looking for a full-time library director. So if you yourself, or if you know of anybody who is qualified candidates are encouraged to apply, because the library is looking for a full-time library director. So to summarize, the most important point of today is October 7th library trustee election and budget vote, and it's very important to go out. One year, I will say, there was a big hoopla about the library, pro or con, depending on what people wanted. And I'll tell you, I was saying to myself, had a long day at work. Should I go vote? I'll go vote. And I voted yes for the budget, and it passed by 1 vote. So please vote for the library vote.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Any other board members have any?
Yeah, I just want to remark on we lost a great Woodstocker a week or so ago. We lost Jean White, and I just want to remark on her passing and what a wonderful, remarkable person she was, and how she loved Woodstock and Woodstock loved her. She goes back to the days of the one-room schoolhouse. I must admit, I will confess that she was a good source for me as town historian, and to prove I didn't make things up. Jean was a remarkable woman and a remarkable member of our community, and she is certainly going to be missed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Dean was a quality human being.
I agree with both you gentlemen. Doesn't happen a lot.
Makes me uneasy.
I'm talking
I
about
know,
Jeannie. Yeah, I don't. So
I'm not sure I want to get involved with you two.
with chainsaws, no less. So do we have any?
Say if anything I said about the Land Conservancy is untrue, which they basically called me a liar, they should sue me. But it's all there.
Okay. Any other comments from any of the board before I go to public be heard? Okay, so
Let's do it.
we don't have a list. So is there any member of the public that would like 2 minutes? Going once? Going twice?
I guess our ratings are in the shitter.
I guess they are. Going 3 times. All right, then. I'll call for adjournment.
I'll second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See you guys tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.